Hey students, welcome to part two of our video on how to create the final version of your paper. So in this part of the process, we are going to look at making sure that we bring over our draft into our final paper document and then formatting it correctly with double spacing, appropriate level 1 headings, and also the format of the font. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my document where I created the draft, and I'm going to highlight everything included on here. And so again, mine was kind of long. Most of yours will not be as long as mine, and that is totally okay. I'm going to copy that using Control C on my keyboard, or alternatively, you could hit Edit Copy. And I'm going to come to my document, and I can either on my keyboard use Control V or do Edit Paste. And so when I paste, one of the things you'll notice right away is that my text in here is Arial 11. And again, we've been using Times New Roman 12 for our document. So I want to select all of the work that I just copied over, Times New Roman 12, to make sure my font is all correct. The next thing I want to do, now that I have got my font correct, is I want to change this to double space, just like we had before. So we're going to go into Format, Line Spacing, and Double, and that one I'll double space all the information in my document. And just as a reference here, you can see that my headings are working correctly, so that's great. This 3-page document, I only need you guys to do about a page to a page and a half, or 2 pages maybe at the most. This is certainly longer than what, again, I'm asking you guys to do. But if yours is longer, it's okay. Don't need to trim anything because of that. The next piece of the process, I want to make sure, and actually I've already done this correctly in the draft, but we want to make sure our indentations are correct. So at the start of each paragraph, we want to make sure that our first sentence is indented 1/2 an inch from the margin of the page. So we see right here, this is the margin of the page that we're working on, and most of our lines are aligned with that. And then our first indentation is actually, again, 1/2 an inch from that margin. So each of our paragraphs should be set up that way. So just scroll through and make sure that your paragraphs are all 1/2 an inch off the first margin. And if you have that, that's correct. And again, that's something that's pretty standard and simple that students kind of see right away. Um, and now the last piece of the process that we actually want to do is add something called level 1 headings. These are not always required, but they are really helpful to the reader to make your document easier to go through and find what you're looking for. So the good thing about this is when we did our outline in step 2, we actually created the level headings that we need in this process. So we're going to focus just on the 3 subtopics or aspects, and we're going to take what we used for that and turn it right into the level 1 headings. So early forms of games using a ball. So I might just simplify that to say um, early ball games. And when I do that, I'm going to highlight it and make that text bold because that makes it a level 1 heading. And I'm going to scroll down, and then my second subtopic started here. So again, I'm going to put in a new line. I'm going to go back and look and see that was divergence of rugby and soccer. Um, so I'm going to just call this section rugby and soccer. Could easily call it divergence of rugby and soccer, but I'm just going to simplify it for the sake of what we're doing right here, and that's fine for you to do as well. And then lastly, this last part is really about the modern game, and that's about as simplified as I would like to make it. So we're going to leave that as modern game. And so now I have this all set up. The last part is really the conclusion, and I could just simply conclusion, call that last paragraph, the conclusion. And then we're all good to go. So we have just moved over our draft, made sure that the indentation is correct, that the line spacing is correct, that the font style and font size are all correct. And we have a pretty good looking paper going on right now. Now, the last step of this process is actually going to be for us to go in and add the works cited page in the citations. So check back for the third part of this video, and I will walk you through how to add those citations to your research paper.